Boy, it's such fun to get a chance to talk to some of your favorite people, and I get a chance this morning to talk to one of my favorite people, and that is singer, actress, author, comedian Jane Lynch. Jane, good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. I mean, you know Jane from all of her roles in television and in movies, but maybe you don't know her from her singing career. And she has a Christmas album that came out about 4 years ago that is a swinging little Christmas that, Jane, it's a killer Christmas album. It's so much fun. You had to have a ball putting this together.
We sure did. And the music is very much a throwback to the late 60s, late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of got that big band feeling. And, you know, that's very much my jam. And Kate Flannery, who was married at the Drunk in the Office, we've been singing together forever. And it's hers as well. And it turns out to be Tony Guerrero and his quintet jam as well. We love that music and, with the big band arrangement. So, yeah, it was a joy to do. We usually perform it out in theaters all over the country. We would be on tour right now, but, the pandemic has kept us at home. So that's why I'm calling radio shows like yours saying, hey, you can get this music and just, go to janelynchchristmas.com.
Yeah.
And you can click on the link there for Amazon or iTunes.
Well, I'll play a little bit later on Up on the Housetop, which is just so much fun. And you're right. It's that throwback to the 50s, 60s. The big band still of the 40s, 50s, and 60s, really, because some of the harmony is just fantastic. So it came out in 2016. It became a top 10 album, and the Swingin' Little Christmas Time became a top 10 single. That's not too shabby.
No, not too bad. And that's a Tony Guerrero original. Usually it's the old classics that get most of the attention, but his original, which sounds like it was written back then, it's an instant Christmas classic, and that's, of course, what we named the album after.
So you can get it on Amazon, of course, but and what's your website? You can get it on your website.
You can get it on Jane Lynch Christmas. That's easy, isn't it? My name and Christmas, and you just click on the link to go to iTunes or Amazon, and of course, you can also get it on Spotify. Your music.
Spotify as well, because you faded out there for a second. Yeah.
Yes, indeed, Spotify as well.
You started. I mean, you're the pride of Dalton, Illinois. Outside of Chicago.
Right.
Your father was a banker. Your mother was a homemaker. But you had this drive to be a performer and an actress. Where'd that come from?
It's probably just a culmination of some DNA that gathered itself all in me. My father was he worked at a savings and loan. He wasn't like a big banker, but he worked at a small town bank, and he loved music, and he had a great ear for harmony. I actually inherited that ear for harmony, and so did Kate Flannery. She has basically the same upbringing as I did. Irish Catholic from a big city, Philadelphia, in her case, and her parents played that music all the time too. And Kate herself is just such a throwback. She looks like she dresses like she's still in the 50s, and she has a voice like a studio singer in the 50s. She's just as clear as a bell and really fun. And, of course, the wild card when we perform live. And also you can hear it on the album, too. She's the wild card, kind of outrageous choices that she makes in performing the songs.
Yeah, right. Well, if you go to YouTube and watch the videos, they're fantastic. You guys, you can tell you have so much fun. Your comedic chops are really, really good.
Well, those videos are on janelynchchristmas.com, too, so you can just go there and scroll down and play those silly little videos that we made.
All ad lib, of course, but for the Christmas album. So here you are back in Illinois, and you are singing, but you also want to act at the same time. And so how did you get started then?
Well, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to perform. I wanted to be on television. I wanted to be on stage. And it was a fire. It was kind of a restless fire in me that even all through college, doing plays and went to graduate school to get more training, and I actually just to stay away from the real world for a little while because I was scared to death. And it was just always something that I couldn't be thrown off course. No amount of rejection or fear, because there was a lot of fear.
Yeah.
I was scared a lot of the time that I wasn't going to get what I wanted. And just over the years, and with some success too, success really breeds confidence. I ended up doing what I love doing, and now I do it almost every day.
And you never feel as if you're working, do you?
No, never. Even doing this, talking to you, this isn't work for me. I love talking to you, and I love talking about music and Christmas, and so I'm a happy girl. I'm doing exactly what I want to do.
Well, happy is the key, the operative word, because in your autobiography, Happy Accidents, you talk about that and how you had that driving, anxiety-filled ambition, but nothing could stop you. You were bound and determined you were going to do it.
Yeah, I know. And, not everybody is made that way. I know that. So I know that's unique to it's my nature. But there's probably people listening to this right now saying, I have that too. And, just don't let the fear take you over. That's all I can say. And, because sometimes the fear is good as long as it's channeled into forward motion and not paralysis. That's the worst.
Rejection can spawn paralysis, can it?
It sure can. Yeah. And, there was something in me that, suffered over it, but kept going. I was just compelled.
Jane Lynch is my guest. You were 15 years in Chicago at Steppenwolf. Good grief. And then you were at Second City?
I wasn't in, a cast or an ensemble member at Steppenwolf. I did a few plays there, which is a great feather to have in your cap. And I did the touring company at Second City. And mostly I did what we call off-loop plays. They weren't equity. We didn't get paid for them. Chicago is a really good theater town, so this was all quality stuff. It's a very can-do theater town. It's let's get a bunch of people together who are like-minded. Let's rent a church basement and put on some plays and clean the bathrooms ourselves, that kind of thing. Yeah. Iron our own costumes. So, we really, I did everything. I built sets. I ran lights. I ran sound, and I acted.
You and Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. Let's put a show together.
Let's put on a show.
All right. So you're moving on, and then but in your autobiography, you talk about all those happy accidents where things just sort of fell into place. Go back to the Frosted Flakes commercial. What was
right? So. Well, I was auditioning for a lot of commercials in the late 90s and getting some. Actually, I started to work a lot in commercials, and there's a shelf life to your career in commercials, because once people start recognizing you from commercials, nobody wants to cast you again because they want to think of you as, every man and every woman. So I was on my little tear, and I auditioned for a commercial for Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. I went to the callback, and I realized that it was Christopher Guest directing it, and that he directed a lot of commercials. Now, he had done Waiting for Guffman at that point, and I had, of course, seen it and loved it, and he had also done Spinal Tap, which, of course, I had seen and loved, and it was a preposterous fantasy to ever imagine that I would work with him. Well, he cast me in the commercial, and then within about 6 months, he cast me in Best in Show. I ran into him at a restaurant. So that's why I call it happy accidents. It's, you can't really plan for this stuff. You have to just show up. You just show up, and you just have to trust that your destiny will meet you.
Keep plodding forward, and suddenly, all of a sudden, Glee turns up. And that was another happy accident, wasn't it? That a show that you'd signed up for was canceled?
Yes, I was committed to a pilot on CBS that would have been and ended up not going anywhere. And but of course, at the time, I didn't know that. Now, Ryan Murphy offered me the part of Sue Sylvester on Glee, and Sue was not a regular at this point. She was just a guest star. So I was able to do it, but then they wanted to make her a regular, and if I were going to this show on CBS, I couldn't do it because they were in what we call first position. So that show ended up going away, which was great, and I ended up being a regular on Glee, which was like, you wipe your brow and go, woof.
It really did make you a megastar. I mean, it certainly took it up to an entirely new level. But for Sue Sylvester, did you help create that part? I mean, that person, that personality?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had to come to it with something, but it was Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan. Ian is he's also from Chicago, which is why I probably am so simpatico with him. It was really Ian's characterization of Ryan.
Oh,
Ryan
really?
is kind of like Sue Sylvester, but Ryan does it, tongue in cheek, whereas Sue Sylvester is deadly serious. But like Ryan showed me, this is how you walk out of a room. This is how you do this. And he was the guy who made everything so extreme. Like he said, I don't like my coffee just hot. I like it scalding. He's the one that gave it that extreme.
That is fantastic because you made her so lovable and hateable at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much.
Well, and then
mission accomplished.
Yeah, you're right. And then my favorite character of yours is Sophie Lennon from Mrs. Maisel.
Oh,
thank
you.
She was so despicable.
Yeah.
And yet so vulnerable at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she's a really thin-skinned person, so it doesn't take a psychologist to look at her and go, "Oh, this is someone who's scared.
Yeah.
This is someone who's afraid. This is someone who is looking to blame everybody but herself for her misfortunes in life." And she makes it impossible for anybody to get close to her. Now, in contrast, is the caricature she plays on stage, Sophie Lennon, the housewife from Queens,
right,
who's open-hearted and laughs at herself and makes fun of herself and is so deeply rooted in joy. So it just shows that is probably how Sophie wishes she could exist in the world, but she, chooses the other route to be this kind of seemingly effete, superior, with her nose up in the air when deep down inside, not even deep down inside, it's very much on the surface. She kind of hates herself.
I was so glad that they brought her back because it was really a poignant ending from the drama that she was in and how she just loses it on the street.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of her Broadway debut, when she just blows it, blows it. And it turns out she is a good actress. She could have been wonderful, but her fear got the better of her, and she went back to the old Sophie from Queens while doing Strindberg's Miss Julie, which
went back, covered her safety net, so to speak. But do you think they'll bring her back again if they go back into production?
They will. I believe. I know I'm going back. We'll probably start in January. We'll start working again, and I imagine we'll hit the ground running.
And then, on top of all of that, you're a game show host, and so I mean Hollywood Game Night, of course, which you're familiar with. But I love you on The Weakest Link. I mean, that gives you an opportunity to do a lot of fun stuff.
It does. I love it. That is really a dream job, just guiding the ship of that show. And I love trivia, and I love that it's not celebrities, it's just normal folk off the street who have this amazing reference level, which amazes me every time.
Yeah, the questions you ask, you're probably going, no one's going to get this one.
And then someone does. And under pressure with the clock ticking.
Right. How fast do you shoot that show, and are you still shooting it now?
We aren't shooting. We did 13 in 4.5 days, so we shoot them pretty fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also, we're not using a live audience because of the pandemic.
Sure.
So loading audiences in and out is eliminated. So we move pretty quickly at a pretty quick pace.
Actress Jane Lynch, singer. Are you going to write any music? Do you think that's in your career?
I don't know. Well, we'll see if it slaps me in the face. I don't know, but I'm not planning on it.
Right. Well, and
if there's a happy accident out there where I write a song.
Well, her album, of course, the Christmas album is just killer. A Swingin' Little Christmas, and up on the housetop, you have to get that and what's the website again?
JaneLynchChristmas.com.
And you can download the whole thing. Jane, it's so many things to talk about, never enough time. It has been a sincere pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy holidays.